and thank you for joining today's discussion on Is Your DevOps Better Than the Best? I'm your host for today, Jatinder Singh, Executive Editor, CR Leader, and IT Next magazine. Uh, the topic of today is Your DevOps Better Than the Best? Manage and monitor DevOps tool for maximum benefit, which has been brought to you by CR Leader in association with CP Technologies. Once again, a very warm welcome to all of you, and thanks for joining in. Let me quickly set the context before we proceed further. Well, organizations all over the world have been compelled to quickly consider their operational strategies for the now and the future. As a result of the recent unpredictable events which has happened, and of course, the way world is moving, being able to change and adapt to the changing standards is an ongoing struggle. You need to adapt, you need to provide exceptional customer experience, you need to make sure that the go-to-market is quick, and in order to continue serving clients while their needs change, IT systems are of course crucial. Needless to say, DevOps helps businesses to steadily push improvements in quality of various mobile applications thanks to its foundation in the principle of continuous improvement and continuous delivery. This is where we need to understand and deliberate that the DevOps journey needs to be managed well because modern enterprise applications are spread across multi-layered cloud infrastructures. And as eminent technology experts, who would know it better than you? The criticality of security and increasing automation initiatives are on top of agenda. How to make maximum impact from the journey? Well, before we proceed toward the discussion, I would like to welcome Mr. Sushant Dubey, EVP and Business Head, Data Services, CP Technologies, and let's have his thoughts on DevSecOps automation for agile operational environment. A quick introduction, Sushant has over two decades of diverse experience in the IT. He's leading the data service business unit in CP and closely works with customers in co-creating new age data-led business transformation initiatives. His versatile experience includes leading sales, business development, and product management functions in global organizations such as IBM, Verizon, and Red Hat, that allowed him to drive successful data transformation projects, delivering impeccable customer satisfaction across open source solutions, cloud-ready platforms, applications, AI, ML, and analytics, with more. With that, I would like to invite Sushant for the presentation. Let's begin. Sushant, welcome to you.
Good afternoon, good evening, and a very warm welcome to all of you in this session of DevSecOps automation for agile operating environment. Agile, because in this ever-changing business environment, it is critical for any organization to be always connected to their employees, their customers, and their partners with always-on applications. In this session, we will talk about and we will try to understand the digital shift which is driving the adoption of DevSecOps, challenges of DevSecOps, challenges which are customers which you face in your DevSecOps journey, and how SIFI value chain, which is a platform from SIFI Kyber, can help you overcoming those challenges and help you and your team to accelerate time to market, enhance security, governance, and compliance. So moving further, let's look at the digital shift, which is driving the adoption of DevSecOps and new technologies for building and managing modern applications. As of July 2022, there are more than 5 billion internet users and 4.7 billion social media users worldwide. Alongside this population growth, ongoing telecommunication developments, new infrastructure, and technology improvements will continue to drive these numbers up. This means more and more people are getting connected, processes are getting connected, and organizations have to build robust and scalable applications to cater to this always changing, always increasing business requirements and driving innovations. That's where we are seeing the advent of new applications, new solutions, which enterprises, organizations, entrepreneurs are using to expand the market, to capture to the new market, and acquiring new customers. And this is done even by the established brands. For example, Shopsy is an application by Flipkart, which is now having around 30 million users, subscribers. This hyper value e-commerce application by Flipkart has found popularity with people and small businesses that are accessing and selling products across a diverse portfolio, including fashion, footwear, and accessories. It shows how enterprises are expanding their market, adding new set of customers to remain relevant. And this also highlight that how buyers and customers can quickly and radically adapt to the new platforms like Shopsy in this case and many other platforms to fulfill their requirements. And this is happening across industry. So for example, e-commerce sales are expected to grow 56% to around 8.1 trillion by 2026. And while you would know, e-commerce was responsible for nearly 14% of the retail sales in 2019, is now expected to account for more than 24% of the retail sales by 2023. That's a huge volume. And if you include retail, overall retail, that means that the consumers are exposed to more products and services than ever before. An enterprise with faster innovation and business models will win. In short, ladies and gentlemen, digital is pervasive in this ever-changing VUCA world, and enterprises are undergoing digital transformations to continue driving business innovations and growth. Look at any new age companies like from Ola, Uber, Flipkart, or say Spotify. These companies started way before anyone else has thought on similar business models. For example, Spotify, which started way back in 2006 as one of the largest music streaming service provider in the world. It was an innovation at that point of a time and a very great thinking by Daniel Ek and Martin. But one of the largest, but they had the time to fail and build the applications. Now imagine such services going down even for a second today. Imagine a Uber application going down, or imagine the Indian Railway reservation going down for a second today. That can amount to a loss of millions of dollars, millions of rupees, and a huge uproar across the societies. So the competitors, the new companies have to build the similar or better applications to cater to the business requirement in much lesser time and in more qualitative ways. And that's where organizations of today are adopting DevSecOps tools and practices to build a powerful foundation for digital transformation, for modernizing their applications. And in that, there is a need for automation across business and IT operations. DevSecOps, like DevOps, DevSecOps needs automation to make sure that the teams follow protocol and best practices for speed and accuracy. Automation also speeds up response times significantly when incidents do occur, and that provides better visibility to the problem and problem resolution. But hey, automation is not a panacea, but it is an essential element to ensure that your DevSecOps practice has the best choice of succeeding. Basis the recent market research, we see that DevSecOps is expensive to implement. DevSecOps is time consuming. People find it difficult and they see lack of skill sets and the slow release cycle. And that's where SIFI introduced a unified platform to measure, benchmark, secure, and improve your end-to-end software product delivery. SIFI value chain has 50 plus integrated tools. It has 600 plus integrated APIs and multiple AI ML models to accelerate your DevSecOps adoption. With multiple features, it also provides a single pane of dashboards to help you manage your DevSecOps operations. SIFI value chain helps organizations to accelerate their DevSecOps adoption and maturity by enabling a single pane across their end-to-end SDLC tooling, including DevSecOps tools. And SIFI value chain helps to reduce the mean time to remediate vulnerabilities by providing visibility to application teams, security leaders, as well as developers on the critical and important vulnerabilities for required actions in a timely manner. This helps them to always know which vulnerabilities to act on and act on them quickly. SVC also unifies vulnerability management, so developers can see all the vulnerabilities from the different tools that they use, for example, SAST, DAST, code quality, and the secret scan, etc. in a single pane. They can quickly act to remediate them without logging into different tools. Also on need basis, SVC can post all the vulnerabilities to be acted upon directly as a PR comment. So developers can directly act on the tooling that they are currently using for their source code management. SVC also helps to reduce the overall security at the organizational level by enhancing vulnerabilities data with threat intelligence information from sources like CISA, so that you know about the actively exploited vulnerabilities and can act on it quickly. SVC also produces unified risk score at an organizational business unit portfolio as well as application level, and does that by combining the individual scores across various security testing pillars so that you can know where your current risk is and you can act on them. SPC also helps you to measure your current level of maturity as against your maturity model set across your end-to-end life cycle, starting from AIML all the way to your builds and deployments to monitoring and logging. It also helps you effectively using the tooling that is purchased. So they are just not sitting out there with licenses or subscriptions being purchased without effectively being utilized. SVC applies around 600 plus best practices at very atomic level on various stages of your SDLC so that you can know what practices or industry leading practices you are currently not good at, and you can act on them and improve upon them. In addition to identifying these gaps, cyber workflows, which are low code automation frameworks, can also be used for auto remediation. Like in this particular case, this workflow can be used to remediate any policy gaps in your environment with respect to the tooling that you are using. For example, if you had a policy that states that I need to have 2 reviewers for every pull request, and if particular repo was created by a developer without that particular policy in place, SVC will automatically go fix it, and it will not wait for anyone to act on it. These way, mandatory policies are automatically affected without any human intervention. And that's the automation we are talking about. You can also automatically create tickets, automatically post comments in PRs, as well as automatically validate any drifts caused by infrastructure automation on your cloud environment. So you are always staying true to your security postures. In addition, SVC can be used to validate all of your compliance controls, be it on standards or on industry regulations like SOC 2, HIPAA, FedRAMP. You can control on segregation of duties, access control change management. You can apply your individual controls using SVC rules engine and automate the validation to stay continuously compliant instead of finding non-compliance during the audit times. That's a very quick overview of SIFI value chain capabilities and how it brings all of these in a single pane, which we call as DevSecOps as a service. If you want to accelerate your DevSecOps maturity, as well as automate your security and compliance control, please feel to reach out to us at marketing@sificorp.com. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you so much, Sushant, for such an insightful, session and setting up the context with your rich insights and perspective. Time consuming, lack of skill sets, policy gaps. Most of the enterprises, they are facing these challenges while they're trying to modernize their apps. And I'm sure this would be extremely critical for them to come up with right strategies. I think somebody has raised a question that the voice was not clear, so we are trying to fix that. There may be a network issue at your end or as well. So, anyways, it was quite exciting, and I myself have learned a lot from your PPT. I'm sure our attendees they're going to benefit a lot. And the next agenda item is the panel discussion. Again, is your DevOps better than the best? Manage and monitor DevOps tool for maximum benefits. So we have some eminent speakers with us, eminent experts with us, who are going to talk about some of the major upcoming DevOps trends and issues, as well as what businesses are needed to do to increase their adaptability and agility in order to survive and thrive in these challenging times as the market is evolving. All participants, thank you for being so patient, and we are also going to have some poll questions during the panel discussion. I would encourage everyone to participate. It will help us understand your perspectives as well. So with that, I would quickly like to introduce our panelists for this session today in alphabetical order, of course. Mr. Kamal Goyal, SVP IT, Hitachi Systems India. He has dropped a message that he might be late to join. So the next in line is Mr. Navnithan M, SVP and CISO PayU. Mr. Ravi Magaluri, CTO, Cloud and Digital Services, SIFI Technologies. Ravi works with customers on defining their digital objectives to help devise the right architecture and execution plans. He's responsible for service strategy and product roadmap for SIFI's Cloud Infinite and Infinite Digital platforms that enable customers to execute digital engagement plans. Once again, very warm welcome to Sushant Dubey, EVP and Business Head, Digital Services, SIFI Technologies. Mr. Saurabh Rai, VP, Kotak Mahindra Bank, and Vikas Sharma, Head IT and CISO, Aditya Birla Group, a conglomerate which has diversified businesses. So once again, a very warm welcome to all of you. It's been pleasure hosting all of you, and we look forward to some great insights. Request everyone to please switch on their video, all panelists.
Thank you, Jatinder, for inviting as well.
Hi, Vikas. Hi.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. Thanks a lot. for the
Hi
nice
Saurabh. Hi
introduction.
Saurabh. Good to see you once again.
Yeah.
Sushant, hi.
Hey,
Thanks
thanks,
once again.
Jatinder. Hi.
Thanks for the.
I'm really looking for that warmth here. I'm sitting here at 3 degrees. Right.
Yeah, Ravi. Yeah, we understand. So, with such an exciting topic that we have today, the application modernization everyone is talking about. Once again, thank you very much for joining in, and very warm welcome to all of you. Without taking much time, I would like to open up a question that you all senior leaders are from different industries, eminent expert. So, what are the key challenges that you are dealing with your DevSec ops adoption, and as a strategy perspective also, what are the steps that you have taken to mitigate those challenges? Maybe if we can start with Saurabh Roy, maybe you can start the discussion.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Jitendra, again. Most of the challenges which even Sushant has also raised in terms of the implementation of the DevSecOps applications is that we ensure it has a coverage for our the old applications as well as the upcoming application which we are developing on DevOps, because we have to look at holistically for the organization whether we are able to identify the various vulnerabilities which are there and we are on top of it. Because being in banking sector, one of the de facto standard which the customers expect from any financial institute is that security is given on the day one when the application is available. So we have to ensure that trust is available over there. So a few of the challenges which we faced here is in terms of upcoming new technologies and all. There are tools which are not compatible, or they are not covering those new languages which are coming up, those new platforms. Similarly, as I mentioned, for certain applications which are a bit on older platforms also, there we face challenges to integrate on these applications and quickly identify those vulnerabilities and take necessary actions. So those kind of major challenge in terms of scaling to the new features, new platforms which are coming up, and quickly integrating to the platform which can give us the vulnerabilities. And on the legacy applications also, we find a bit challenging to integrate and get a quick outcome of these tools, which we try to balance it out with the new tools which are available, and we try to implement them. Yeah.
Sure, Saurabh. Thanks for sharing your perspective. Now, Nathan, if you can hear us, probably you can also share some of the challenges that your organization is facing. I'll request you to share your perspective. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ajula. Thank you so much for hosting the amazing content. And really, it's a need of the awe from most of the leaders, and as well as most of the organization currently it's happening. Because earlier we were talking about only on the firewall and then perimeter, what needs to be get things done, right? Now the environment is completely connected to the applications. So through the applications, again, on top of that, I can say the API security will play very significant role. So by considering all things, all the country to country, organization to organizations, well connected towards the application, as well as well connected towards the APIs. So it's an endpoint which is feeding and fetching the information from end to endpoint. So that standpoint, really, we have a lot of challenges, and which needs to be addressed immediately. So like a quick win for hackers, quick win for the the most of the victims, right? Both the side really we want to have a lot of attentions. So that aspects, most of the organizations where we are going on, while doing a factory building itself, we want to ensure that like during DevOps itself, we want to ensure the DevSecOps so that while building itself, all the codes and applications have been taken care in the right path. But however, since we have multiple stakeholders and then other things, it consumes a lot of the bandwidth. It consumes a lot of effort from the say end to end, right? So that aspect is most of the organizations we are working. But however, coming to the necessity standpoint, it's a bang on, and which creates a lot of impact and criticality, which need the immediate attention from the DevSecOps before any product go live or any product go into the market. Because it's like a one repetition, right? As a CEO, I may have a business of 3x plan, but one breach and other things we need to minus 3x.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that has we need a lot of attention over there.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Vikasji, coming back to you, how are you dealing with these changing trends, and what are the current challenges that you are encountering with DevSecOps adoption, and do you have a strategy in place to mitigate those challenges?
Sure. Let me do one honest acceptance. I think before the coming to this the kind of discussion, right? I have something in my mind, and when Sushant has done a presentation, after seeing the presentation, and I think the problem he spoke about, and more than a problem, how the problems are addressed with the SVC tool by SFE, right? I become speechless. When I thought whether I should discuss the problem now or not, because the solution is already there on board. But yeah, again, coming back, see, when we say when DevOps things as a model is started, and then the DevOps become DevSecOps, right? So if we see the general perspective, and then where the DevSecOps comes, this nothing is amalgamation of the automation along with the security, right? And what I have seen mostly, it has a basic 4 or 5 principles. You have automation, the cloud native, then also the cultural aspect and security, and also persiveness, right? Most of the time, the automation and cloud native still remains with the most go with the organization with the 2 first pillars. We say that we are following DevSecOps or DevOps or something, but whether all the pillars are falls in a place or not.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you miss one, I'm not saying your building is not started shaking from the day one, but whether it's a principle, I'm not saying it's a compromise, but might have missed as a part of the process, because it's not something you do once and forget about it for next 20 years. So the organized, I think the challenge, because the way you do it, right? You do go with the basic principles, considering Sushant has talked about certain tools, which also in continuous improvement keep telling you, right, where to keep improving yourself. Also apart from this, so that's how I think it can address it. That's what let me accept I'm become speechless after seeing Sushant's presentation on that.
Yeah, so I think Sushant has given a great overview. Before we move forward with the rest of the question, probably Ravi, in your experience, can you highlight some of the latest technological evolutions that probably at cities, and also you're trying to address organizational challenges more effectively? Maybe you can share some perspective on.
See, I have grown up writing applications and managing the application development process over multiple decades. So, like the earlier colleague, I don't see the name anymore, but the guy right under me in the panel, like he described, this kind of a development has been, this kind of an availability of a solution has been the dream for most of us, I would say, through the times. So what exactly does it mean? What it means is, how do I encourage best practices that the top 3% in the world are following? So how do because developers are, I have been one. These guys are very nerdy and then very passionate people. They are not ready for accepting any suggestion, however valid it is. They'll say, not in my backyard, right? My way or highway. So how do you ensure? How do you work towards culture change? How do you work towards better standards? So that is the biggest challenge, right? So now, if we have a technology, now we all heard about gamification and so on, right? So instead of we giving opinion-based input, saying, hey, you're doing it this way, you better do it that way, we don't do that. Nowadays, it's all about gamification, right? So you set it on the board. Now, this is what they're doing, and they're getting better results. Now, I don't care what you do, but you show me the results which are similar to the other guy. So that way, I want to encourage people objectively with a data-driven insight, saying, I don't care how you do it, but this is where you are. Now, if you do these things in your own way, you will get to the next level of maturity. So how are we doing it with technology, right? So with technology, basically, this Sufi value chain product in partnership with Kyber, what we are doing is we are bringing 600 best practices gathered from experts like these. And we are measuring KPIs, which are 350 plus, which we are gathering from the tools and technologies that people are already using, right? So everybody is using continuous integration. Some of them are also doing continuous delivery. Now the question is, how are they doing it? We are not, if somebody says, I don't have anything, then we are ready to stand it up from grounds up and then say, hey, we will take you towards the CI/CD maturity process. Now, if somebody says, oh, I already have some tools, no, don't come and rip and replace. I'm not ripping and replacing. So I will only fill the blanks if you are ready. But otherwise, I will take whatever you have, and with that, I will tell you by way of data-driven metrics, gleaned from your process, this is where you are. So this is the framework, a technology thing that from a technology perspective, what we are trying to do is fill in the blanks or measure the effectiveness of what you already have and give you data-driven insights, whereby you don't have to worry about mean time to ignorance, right? People are always trying, I did not do anything, I'm good. So today, the build process is all about doing a roll call and saying, how are you, is it okay at your end? But still we have regression, still we have bugs. So here, what we are trying to do is eliminate the risk of overseeing the bugs in the development process, and support it with data-driven insights, and giving you the choice to decide, whether you want to allow it to be graduating into the next step in the pipeline or not.
Yeah, absolutely. You rightly pointed out, Raviji. I mean, of course, the automation is also going to be very critical, and to do it more effectively makes more sense. So, now, Nitinji, would like to understand from in your industry, what are the key security issues are of critical, of great significance to your sector, and also if you could highlight the kind of efforts that you are taking to identify and fix vulnerabilities in a quick and rapid manner.
So this is moreover, while building house, maybe if you want the things needs to be secure, or you want to build any plan, whether it's easy to have it, right? I mean, while the building itself, we can ensure it, like which floor, what you want to have it, which place where we should have the restroom. So once you build everything, then if you want to change the entire restroom from left to right, it's a bigger challenges, right? So that's why just always we strongly believe on security by design and privacy by design. So while building itself, if you have that process, of course, a little bit of stretch from the security team and privacy team. But however, once you made it things on the early stage, the development team also well aware like what exactly needs to be taken care on the early stage. As well as its requirement is not going to change on day by day, right? It is absolutely it's more of the contextual, but close to 80% of things remain same. If you're hosting any applications on the B2C, B2B, B2C, again, it is going to the consumer, it's BA information, or it's only the the transactional information. It's like we have a multiple category of the applications, right? So where we have defined like what kind of applications, and then what are things needs to be taken care on the early stage itself while planning as well as while building. Very simple example if you want to tell. We just keep like if somebody consumer want to edit their mobile number or they want to change the mobile number. From security standpoint, we will ensure that while doing edit button, what are the scenario we should allow, and should we ask the OTP, and then the OTP could goes to the new number or the older number. And what are the actions they can do in terms of changing their UPI ID and all the stuffs, right? So this is each and every click where we go and touch. It's an from the design perspective, really from security standpoint, what exactly needs to be taken care of.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your perspective. Saurabh, coming back to you, do you think that would you consider making DevSecOps as the primary governing force for all application delivery, both new and ongoing? Especially, I mean, going by your experience and then the your interaction with senior IT leaders, how do you see it evolving? So I think probably he's facing some network issue. Because this question goes to you. I think we'll come back to Saurabh. Yeah.
See, when we talk about challenge in the industry, right? When we talk about people, so majority, what I'm not saying is a missing, but the challenge in terms of the governance. I think which Ravi also mentioned a bit, and Navin also mentioned, where you do a foundation, right? You may think the way you want to do it is the part of the process. So when I see in terms of, when you said DevSecOps started, right? So whether you consider Sec as a secret or Sec as a secure.
Yeah.
How you perceived it, and then if you consider Sec as a secure, and the Sec element which should not be missed out. Right? Yeah. Otherwise, what happened, you've done the DevOps.
Yeah.
And you call a last as a security guy telling, okay, do my VAPD and tell me what are my 5 findings and go away. So one of the reasons I think what you already mentioned, highway or highway something, because you don't come and teach me how I should write a code.
Yeah.
Because it's my baby, I know how the baby will grow up and all this from it. So there are challenges that can be addressed via governance. When I say it's not a governance, it's not you want to keep the guy with the stick and just do a tick mark, right? Tools, I think, which we have seen, and then which even SVC also, which I just seen again. I was not aware of this tool. In past, I just seen as a part of this presentation. Yeah, this has something you need someone as a monitoring and which can tell where are you missing. Objective is not to do a fault finding. Objective is something where to make your building more stronger day by day, day by day. So not perceive Sec as a secure, Sec as a secure, but not as a secret. So you do a transition from that.
Yeah, maybe if you could also, since you talked about governance, if you could also quickly add on to, how do you ensure, productivity along with governance and compliance? Would it be a big challenge? I mean, we saw Sushant also talking about that. Is it a big challenge?
See, on the ground, the answer is yes. Okay, whether you are manufacturing, you are a BFSI, or you are IT, whoever the industry is. On the ground, the answer is yes. Because end of the day, with the development, where will be the pressure or development is one way of working in terms of. So not blaming any individuals here as a part of the process, how this evolve. When the governance comes under part of your DNA in terms of it, the entire process. Okay, then only you're able to manage it, because the DevOps guys say I have to development, because at the end of the day, right, when you say DevOps is something, the ability to better respond to the customer need and increase the confidence in the business goal faster. So the last word faster should not be on your focus. The quality, right, and the need of the customer actual need is. So if you factor in, and I think when Navin was mentioned, the customer one need is being in terms of the, I think what is from the financial industry, like the secure. You might have a feature, but whether if it's not secure, you may, I'm not saying lost the trust of the customer expect is more than a feature than a security. So
yeah.
In the same time, go to market, right? Business goal has to be also achieved.
Yeah, absolutely. The go to market has to be achieved. Sushant, we were talking about the go to market, and you talked about time-consuming processes, lack of skill sets, policy gaps. From a business standpoint, how critical are these factors? I'm sure. I mean, we have been hearing from these experts, but we have been interacting with a lot of seasoned leaders. If you can give your perspective about the the key issues that they are facing, in addition to the presentation what you have already mentioned.
Hey Vikas, thank you. I thank you that you like the content. I am happy that you could relate with the content. That's one of the bigger challenges whenever we go to these webinars. To your point, Jatinder, see, the question, there is nothing which is new if you see in this perspective. And the other perspective is that everything is happening today in a discrete way. For example, businesses are still running. They are still developing applications. Some of the businesses use core applications like a ERP, SAP, Oracle, or different applications. And then upstream, downstream applications could be in a different technologies altogether. And that's where we see that processes are being adopted. DevSecOps or DevOps eventually is a cultural change for an organization, is a process change for an organization. So what we have seen is eventually many companies who are cloud-born, cloud-native company, or you call them digitally native-born company, DNB companies, like a Paytm of the world, like a Uber of the world. These companies are working today on an application which is the backbone of their business. When they're doing it, they need collaboration from developers, they need collaboration from their deployment team, they need collaboration from security team, because they cannot let any kind of problem happens to at any stage. And that's where you see the release of applications. Have you ever seen that Uber app is not working? Or have you seen that, like, for example, when Google was down, even for a single minute, 5 minutes, there was huge uproar globally. So today we are seeing that most of the organizations are getting into shape. And that's what I was trying to tell when I was presenting, that in this digital world, it is becoming a priority. It is becoming a must-have rather than good to have your businesses available, to have the technologies which can support your businesses, to be always on with your customers, with your employees, with your partners. And if you are getting into that phase, which you will have to sooner or later if you are not, then these kind of practices will have to be adopted for the standardizations across the organizations. And we are seeing that customers, that's why today many of them are using DevSecOps as a journey towards achieving their digital ambitions. We are seeing that CIOs, CTOs, CDOs today are making this as a priority so that the application release cycle can be accelerated. We can see faster release of applications, and the GTM, go-to-market, at least from business perspective, is always one step ahead.
Thanks, Sushant. I'll just ask an open-ended question. Anyone can answer, probably Vikas or Navneet, any one of you. So how in latest organizational system, how do you carry the code review to improve engineering excellence? What is the methodology? Vikas, would you like to take that?
Yeah. I'll just give my bit. Okay, not be 100% right. The way, again, see, there is nothing that's a proven, but I use the word of governance. Right? You have a model, you put a governance, and you see where you are lacking, because every organization might have its own challenges. Now, telling there could be a right for one and right or wrong for other, maybe right or wrong, same sense on this. Okay, but ensuring whatever the process you agree, right? When you talk about, when you say, see, end of the day, DevSecOps is what is basically, it's nothing a silo. Basically, you are ensuring that your development, your run, It's continuous along with the security. So for me, the compliance, right? How you manage the compliance, yeah, it could be differ organization to organization. That's what I see.
Okay. And Navneet, do you think that a single centralized point of control is helping organization becoming more efficient and managing pipeline in a more impactful manner? It's a very interesting place to be in. I'm not a subject matter expert, of course. So you all are eminent leaders. Ravi, to understand your perspective, what I mean in my interaction with CIOs and CTOs, well, I was last week also I was interacting with one of the seasoned leaders. He said, and you also talk about that the cultural change, the processes are and the change management sometimes becomes very tricky to manage. So do you also help that achieve more impactfully? Do you have solutions around that, or maybe you can share some thoughts around that?
Yeah, like I said, no one likes to be told they are falling short of something, right? I've sort of mentioned it in the previous comment already, but when we make it objective, when we make it evidence-based or data-driven, people will generally try to take it positively. And we will not only give a vague answer, a vague recommendation, right? We give specific recommendation. So for example, nowadays, now let's talk about deployment to the cloud. So like, for example, AWS. See, back in the day when I was writing applications, we never knew how production system would be. We used to write the application, and then after that, it was a black hole, right? And we never knew where it was going, who was doing what. And they were writing they were designing the deployment architecture completely scratch, talking to somebody else, and then it would be deployed very differently the way than we were running it in our own local machines. But today, the developers have the power and the ability, and not only these two, but the prerogative to say, this is how my application will sit in AWS. Right? So there is no what used to be called as system operations or application operations or whatever you call them, infrastructure team. They're not there. Today, the infrastructure is code. Today, you have to deploy the infrastructure as part of your CI/CD pipeline most of the times. If not, you would create a landing zone, whatever you call it, and then you keep putting applications on that. But then the question is, who is watching for the integrity of the fidelity of the environment in AWS? That's a big question, right? Knowledge-wise, also, application developers seem to be leading the pack with more awareness of how to commission these resources in, let's say, a cloud. Now, I have spoken with many organizations. None of these developers will come back and stay there when the application goes to production. The operations team, the legacy operations team will come and say, I don't know what those guys have done. Now I am responsible for the cost of the cloud infrastructure because it goes from my budget. I am responsible for the security of the deployment because the guy has written the code and gone. I don't know what he has written. So most of the time when organizations are going to the cloud, especially from the perspective of writing applications and deploying applications to the cloud, because first part of the journey was what people typically call lift and shift. You took it from a VM on the on-premise and you put it on another VM, and then everybody was happy. But today, when we are talking about developing applications in the cloud for the cloud, and the way cloud native applications are done, governance becomes very important. So now there are so many different things that the subject matter experts will come and tell, you should not do this in AWS, or you should do this way, meaning you have to configure security group, you have to do this, there can be half a dozen, starting from basic rules to something like 50, 60 different rules that have to be continually looked for. Because every time the application is being deployed, it is possible that some of these rules are violated. So now what we have to, so I'm giving you an example of governance. The governance can be anywhere. See, with the, in the scanning of the application code, you will look for what are known as OWASP rules, right? So which are for security vulnerability. So I am talking about all the way to the end, right? So post-production, you will talk about web application firewalls and all that. Meaning across the pipeline, right from the time you're writing the code, where you are leaving open text passwords and so on, to the way you're deploying things in the cloud, to the way you're leaving vulnerabilities in production, which will be caught with application firewalls, application-aware firewalls, and so on. There is a need for watching what is happening all through, regardless of what the developers are doing. Now, how do we achieve that? The only way you can achieve that is with automation. The only way you can achieve that is with configurable workflows and processes, which, if when detected something is wrong, will give you an alert, or will suspend the process, or will mitigate the risk by doing whatever other automation things that we can bring to bear. Or if everything is fine, it gives you the confidence that, hey, nothing has been caught, so I can let it slide into the production with some more peace of mind. So that's how I look at governance, meaning there's a need for nowadays you talk about zero trust, right? So we need to have a zero trust pipeline where we verify every step of the way very, very methodically, and have data-driven insights.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. And you rightly said that it's DevOps is not a technology or a tool; it's a philosophy, and it's a cultural shift that requires exceptional collaboration between technology and operation system. And to begin with, such journey, the organization need to have the required skill sets, probably or tools from automation architects, security professionals, and developer testers. One need to have right strategy in place to develop a successful ecosystem. And thanks for sharing your perspective. Sushant, would you have any closing comments before we proceed towards Q&A?
Yeah, sure. I think what we are seeing with the advent of technologies and with the new business requirement, with this ever evolving world, the business requirements would continue change, would continue to increase. There is a huge demand. So across the industries, for any organization, it is prerogative, it is a priority that they have IT supporting the businesses in all these endeavors, whether it is customer satisfaction, whether it is acquiring new customers, whether it is acquiring new markets, or whether expanding the current portfolio. Eventually, innovations and supports and new products and new services are launched with the help of IT enablement. In that process, we see standardization, which is very, very important across the way in which IT is supporting and building applications, support businesses. Process adherence becomes must when the applications are built in-house, when they are deployed, so that they are always secured. And the whole cultural shift towards adopting the DevSecOps process is very important, so that the development, deployment, testing, security team can work in unison towards the larger goal of providing a trouble-free application which is available 24/7, which is always on. So I think that's where we are talking about building modern applications for the customers to help them achieving their business objectives and fulfilling customer requirements. So we would be very happy, we would be very glad if there are queries pertaining to this. And even after the session, if there are queries from the organizations, from the representatives who are there in the call, they can reach out to us and we can work with them to understand their journey path and how and where we can support.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for your quick insights and wonderful perspective. I'm sure it must be of great help to all our attendees. While there have been a few questions, what we have, while a lot of them have been answered, but for everyone's knowledge, probably some of the questions we can take up live. Mr. Shiva Kumar has asked that how to choose the right tools for DevSecOps, and is there any standard tools for specific?
Yeah, I try to answer that there. There is nothing like it is. We have tools for the complete pipeline for both from the open source as well as commercial options. Some organizations would have invested in the commercial tools already. And if not, we can recommend appropriate open source for the complete pipeline. Depends on the skills, depends on the preferences people may have, because see, these software development architects are very opinionated. So they swear by one tool versus the other, depends on the programming stack that they're using, and so on. But the good news is we are agnostic to which tools the team may want to use. So if they have a clean slate, we can give the complete what we call DevSecOps Foundation. If they say, I have a few, we can accommodate those things in our value accretion exercise. And we can give you insights on how well or how much more opportunity is there for you to improve on what you are already using.
Thanks, Ravi. This question has been answered again, but a couple of more such questions also I received. So I think for everyone's benefit, while we have discussed this as well, how challenging is to keep doing continuous deployment along with managing security governance? Could you share some of the best practices? Sushant, would you like to take that up? Or Ravi?
I may do that. See, the idea is how fast can you do the delivery, right? Yeah. So, meaning deployment. So now I do this rhetoric all the time, right? So I have this, let me see what is going on right now. See, my phone says there are 41 applications that I need to patch. So yeah, if I did it 2 days back, it would have been like 120 or something like that. Now, there are 120 release managers who were sleepless now 41 release managers were sleepless in the last 3-4 days since these things have been pushed out for production. So how do we do that? That's the question, really speaking. Meaning, how can I mitigate the risk of something faulty going out? Because I do not like an application coming and messing up on my phone, right? So now, how do I do that? So the question is, the concept that we are alluding to here is called zero downtime deployment. When I am deploying it on my phone, it's still while the application is being deployed, it is theoretically done. But if you are doing it on the server side or in the cloud or somewhere, no one, like Sushant was saying some time back, have you ever seen Uber going down? So here we are talking about zero downtime deployment. So zero downtime deployment happens with some strategies which are labeled as blue-green deployments. So what happens is I will go from production to backwards what needs to be done. So in production, you will do blue-green deployment. So when you say blue-green deployment, it doesn't matter, the no color means anything special, but essentially you have something in production. Now you have for a limited audience, for a limited set of users, which you can segregate one way or the other, you will give a new release. Now they will be doing it in production only. It's not like a testing. They will use the application, the new version of it. Limited audience will use it in real production usage. So if that is okay, basically these guys have the new features. The other guys who are logged into the old version will continue to use the old version. So this is, back in the day, we used to also call it rolling patch or whatever. So now let's go back. How do I do that? So that requires a lot of automation. It requires automation of your cloud deployment. It requires automation of your application release. It requires an application architecture that is stateless. So I can talk a lot about what is stateful and stateless, but I'm sure people will understand it. So now you go back. Now you talk about how am I automating the entire pipeline? So the maturity with which you select the application architecture, automate the functional testing and all kinds of testing, automate the deployment of it to cloud, automate the rolling of blue into green. So it's possible. People are doing it, but it's a question of how well I am building. Building the blocks of the entire pipeline towards getting that ability.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Yeah, and if you see my presentation also, what Ravi said, that's what we have tried to highlight. See, in simple way, if I may just again summarize this, because this is an important query which we hear often. See, without any effective stakeholder reviews or processes reviews in terms of code reviews or automated testing or observability in place, continuous delivery may always have a possibility to increase the things going wrong, right?
Yeah.
So that's where, by having a compliance-driven DevSecOps, where governance and compliance comes to the place because you are in control with your tools, with your processes, and automation helps continuous deployment without taking those risks. And that's where, we give those examples of always on applications.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. You rightly said the monitoring is like the real-time monitoring. That's extremely critical, and security governance is very pivotal, like we already discussed. Because this particular question is for you, since you have been at the helm of affairs and managing technology. So one of the attendees wanted to understand, since cloud and related technologies and implementations are expensive in the long run. So how do you manage the cost most effectively as a technology leader? And probably you can highlight some of the best practices.
You're asking.
Ravi has partially, Ravi is already, sorry, it was for me. Sorry.
Yeah, Vikas, this is for you.
Yeah, okay. So Ravi has partially answered already. Yeah. Not say partially, technically fully, but in case I'm not sure if the question name is not there, it's an NMS. Let me answer. Let's see. The cost is the one part of it, and the value is another part. Okay. So when you differentiate between the cost and value, right, then you will say what actual amount you're paying for this, right? And which Ravi also mentioned, nowadays you don't have to worry about, you have to say this is, let's say IT guys have also been, I'll say, restricted by the numbers, which is the budget be given by even business or finance or something. Which I mentioned that you have this bucket, right? You set your financial metrics, try to monitor with the tools and technologies there, it's readily available, and see where you have to spend that penny. And that's what the way means. Again, is it costly or cheap? There is nothing free lunch in the world. This is one thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, people are looking at, so if you're done, because I have to add.
Yeah, please.
So, I'm sorry. So what people are saying nowadays is, it is not an absolute, let me say, is it absolutely expensive compared to what it was? Yes, but then which is not expensive? You buy a new car, you buy the same old Scorpio, it is no longer available for 10 lakhs that I used to buy. Now it is 25 lakhs or whatever it is. So question is value, which is what because you're trying to say. But the question I am hearing more is, people are sick of hearing the new normal. I don't want to use that. But people are asking, if I take this cost as the baseline cost after I go to the cloud, can I keep the cost grow non-linearly in a small way compared to the feature benefit that I'm growing? Meaning if I keep adding more functionality, if I keep adding more features, if I add more stuff, it will go like this, the benefit. But can the cloud cost go a little bit like this, more linear? Meaning, can I grow the cost of the cloud 20% with some basis of measurement compared to my application velocity, which is like 80%? So that's what people are asking. Nobody's asking, oh, I used to spend 10 rupees, now why am I spending 20 rupees?
You gave some very interesting examples. Thanks, Ravi.
Yeah.
Thanks. I think especially with the, I mean, in my interaction, especially what has really happened that after the pandemic, while datization has been accelerated to a new level, but post that, when reality struck in, a lot of initiatives were taken very, hastily, and a lot of organization probably now taking a cautious approach in some of the other way. But on the other hand, there are organizations who have really benefited from the transformation initiative. That's a mix of things which I have been hearing. I may be wrong also, but that's what I've been hearing from my conversations. So once again, to all respected leaders, thank you for joining in today. It was lovely to host you. Thanks for sharing your wonderful perspective and rich insights, which I'm sure will be quite beneficial to the attendees who are on their application organization drive, and how to leverage the new age capabilities and the key solutions to their identified problems. It was lovely hosting you. Thanks once again to Sifi and the entire CM leader team. Thank you, Vikas, and thanks to all CIOs who joined, but because I think some of the other issues they dropped it in between. Thank you very much. It was lovely hosting you. Looking forward to some more exciting discussions as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.